Hello everyone, in this video we're going to have a look at how to extend the melee weapon conditions. So we're looking at adding some additional conditions so you can basically do a bit more with it. Before we get started, I'd like to thank all of my Patreon supporters for the amazing support. This updated script will be available on Patreon. So before we get started, I want to highlight everything you can already get from the Game Creator Hub to enhance the melee module. So when we look for melee, we've got melee upgrade. I've covered this in a bunch of videos already. It allows you to have multiple blade components. So basically you can have combos with right hand, right foot, left foot, elbow, all of the good stuff. So a lot more flexibility. Plus it allows you to put default hit reactions for the melee weapon on characters. So for example, if you have some villagers and you want them to use the default, like hit reactions when you actually hit them with the melee module, you can do so. You can add tons more hit reactions as well. Really good stuff. We've got action play melee clip. This allows you to basically play a melee clip at any given time. The flexibility here is that basically you can add root motion gestures. That's pretty much what it comes down to be fair. And then there's additional conditions, wield melee weapon condition, but also something that allows you to basically enable or disable melee clips on a weapon. So if you want to lock certain combos behind upgrades, really good stuff. So what we're going to focus on in this video is basically extending this list of conditions. So the condition list is, well, as you can see here, but what I want to add is, we have input forwards, we have backwards. We're almost there for being able to use dashes and evades in the melee module, for example, but we can't because we don't have left and right. And if you have a bunch of weapon animation packs, most of the time there's like step, dodge, evade, something like that, and they're always forward, backwards, left, right. And that seems pretty basic. One of the advantages of using a melee clip for it, so let's create one. There we go. So let's call this evade forward. One of the advantages here is that you can actually have the evades being attacks. Some games actually do that with special evades that actually are attacks, openers, things like that. But you don't have to do that. You can also just have them be uninterruptible, but you can still take damage, for example. Or if you want them to be special upgraded ones, you can even do invincible. So dodging means you can't take any damage. So it's quite flexible if you're using the melee module. If you use the built-in dash system, you might have noticed that often with melee that actually causes a couple of complications, which is actually quite annoying. And another nice thing here is that using it like this also means that for your enemy AI, they can actually dodge around, and if they focus on you and they do dodge left, right, they're actually pretty much circling around you, which is another cool, well, pretty much side effect of doing it like this. So yeah, I'm going to do uninterruptible but vulnerable, so the dodge will always keep playing, but you can still take some hits. And I'm using a random animation pack. Honestly, it really doesn't matter. But I'm using this one because, I always like Frank Climax animations. But yeah, the pack is irrelevant. I just needed a pack that had dodges. That's pretty much it. So let's find... so I'm already using the rest of the pack for the locomotion as well. One basic combo just so we actually did something, and let's add the evades. So the nice thing is that a lot of packs actually have like steps, so for if you're walking, and evades, which are like rolls if you're running, which is pretty cool. I'll show you how to be able to use both as well, but there's no 8-way walk locomotion, which is really annoying. So I'm keeping the player to actually run, because yeah, it's I don't really like if there's no full 8-way walking locomotion. So let's pick evade, and I did forward, so we can just drag these in, extract root motion, and we're done. Now if you want to have a look at what it looks like, we can drag in that player. There we go. Turn on is attack, and we can actually see what it does. And yeah, it's a proper roll. Pretty cool. Now the nice thing with having it in the melee module is, outside of what I already mentioned, you can have it as an attack, like an interrupt attack. You can have it as just an invincible dodge, or like at least uninterruptible. It will work well, but you can also lock it, like I mentioned before, behind a skill tree, so that certain dodges, if they're attack dodges, they're actually locked first and you can unlock them. So tons of advantages. So yeah, this is it. Pretty basic. Now the problem isn't really with forward and backwards, because we could already do that. It's with having left and right, so that simply wasn't possible. It's not a condition by default in the melee module, and that's what we're going to be adding. So let's duplicate this one a couple of times, because I want to have it fully set up. So we have evade back, we have evade left, and we have evade right. There we go. So let's open up this back again. So this is evade right, and let's turn off is attack straight away. I don't need to see them again, I know what they do. Evade left, can actually just go here. There we go. Extract, and then turn this off. And evade forward, we can turn off the is attack, and then evade back, and let's drag that in as well. And there we go. So yeah, we've got the full evade dodge type system. So in order to properly use that, I do have a trigger that basically simulates the whole being focused on something a bit. So we've got an action here that calls a condition, always restarts. It's a bit much to always do it, but there's nothing else in the scene anyway. So on idle, the character direction, movement direction is movement direction. And when we're running, in this case, because I don't do walk for the video, it's camera direction, which is pretty similar to being focused on something, and it pretty much gives you the full 8-way movement direction. So yeah, pretty useful. Cool. So let's have a look at our melee weapon. There we go. So we need to have we need to add these, of course, to the combo, and then we need to figure a way to call these as well. So default, I just have a normal punch. That's trigger A. So now we're going to drag in everything else. I'm doing M for like movement. It literally is irrelevant what letter you use, as long as it's different letter. And then we're going to drag them all in. So forward, backwards, left, and right. So this one, input backwards, input forward, and yeah, here we can't do anything, so that's what we're missing. Now what I'm going to show you allows you to modify, add additional ones as well. So you can literally add on air combined with input forward. You can add grounded as well, which basically is just a variation of on air, but on the opposite. So yeah, you know, you'll be able to add a bit of variation, which is pretty cool. So if there's certain melee attacks you don't want to be able to do in the air, which I think would be a lot of them actually, you know, it won't work like that. So yeah, pretty cool. So in order to adjust this, we need to look for combo system. There we go. And this script basically modifies the combo system. Now I would advise you to make a backup of this. So just copy the original script, put it somewhere, safe location. So what we need to do first is add our conditions, and I'm actually going to add a on ground as well. I think for the default combo, if you know it's not actually going up, that might be quite useful to use. So we're doing on ground, we're doing running right and running left. We're gonna do inputs backwards, forwards, right and left. Oh, the last one, no comma. Perfect. So let's start off with the on ground, and basically these are all your actual conditions. So this is where you list them and you need to refer to, and this is where the conditions are actually set. And as you can see, all of these conditions are checking for something. So it's checking here on air, is this grounded? So what we're going to do here is we're going to copy this, then we're going to paste, and instead of on air we're going to do on ground. There we go. So it refers to the existing condition we have now, so that's great. And here we actually don't need to change that much, so we just need to remove the exclamation mark, and we're actually done. That's all we have to do, and then we're good. So basically in air on air does the opposite, so it makes sure that it's so this is the bool is grounded, and then the exclamation mark says no, it's not grounded, and here we say yes, it is grounded. And yeah, that's it. So that was a sweet one. Don't get me wrong, the other ones aren't as easy. So let's I'm going to copy over running forward, because that's the one we need to change the least in order to make work. So let's rename this to running right. And what we need to change here is the angles. So this is not your default locomotion, you know, vector 3, 1, -1, 0, 1, etc. No, we need to have actual angles here. And you can't just mess around with these. They need to be pretty specific. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to have it like this. And yeah, I needed to look up these values. I'll be honest. It's not like I knew this from the top of my head or anything like that. And then here for running right, we need to do 180. And that's it for running right. So we've got running right, and what we need to do now is do running left as well. And that's actually going to be pretty much the same. So again, we'll just copy over running right, and we'll change that to running left. And as you might imagine, that kind of needs to be the opposite. So we're going to add a minus. I'm going to change these around as well. And yeah, it's basically just the opposite of in every single way of running right, and we're set. So that's for run. Now let's do input as well. So again, we'll copy over input forward. We're going to add it here. There we go. So we'll have input right, and yeah, just the same as with running, so it's actually no different. So there we go, and then 180. Then we copy this over, And we do the opposite again for left. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Unless I made a mistake, but this should be working just fine. So yeah, the important thing is making sure the naming conventions are exactly the same as on top. Now, it does allow you to, you can combine some of these. So for example, if you want to have on ground with forward, you can just combine these. So that's pretty awesome. There are some other things as well. So is perfect block time, things like that. I'm curious to mess around a bit with these, try to see if I can do a bit more. But yeah, for now, this is a nice combination. And yes, you can, start combining some of these together as well. So let's try this out. Let's hope I also didn't make any mistakes. So it's going to compile. I've got my errors turned off, so I'll need to double check here real fast. And no errors. We're good. Perfect. So let's head over to our melee weapon here. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to show you how the combo A, which I've mapped to left mouse button, how combo A works in the air and on the ground, like it just always works. So let's hit play here. There we go. So if I jump, it works, and if I'm on the ground, it works. It just always works. So if I'm going to pause this, I'm going to go to my melee weapon, and I'm going to do on air, which is an existing one. I'm fully aware. Then it's not going to do anything on the ground, and if I am in the air, it works. Now if I change this to on ground, which is the new one we've added, it works on the ground, and if I jump, it doesn't do anything. And honestly, I think this is actually quite essential for so many combos, because the animations are actually just not made to work in the air. They just look a bit weird. So it's good that we have that limitation. So yeah, and definitely combine them with inputs if you're up for that. So now we're going to do actually it shouldn't be running. Let's just do input. Oh, it's because I moved it. Okay, makes sense. I was about to say. So we've got input backwards, we've got input forward, we've got input left, sorry, and input right, and there we go. Now we need something to try these out as well. So I'm going to add another trigger here. Let's do key down. Key down, and shift is really in control, really close for me, so I'm just gonna do left shift. That's the easiest to use here, considering we don't have running anyway, but you can use whatever button you want. And the nice thing here is you don't need to set up and hold dash. It's just literally input and M. That's it. So the M combo is what we're going to be using, and which clip will we play depends completely on our combined input. So let's give this a try. There we are. So shift left, shift plus right, sorry, and there we go, moving backwards and of course moving forwards. And as you can see, our new conditions are completely working. I think this is actually really quite essential to have for melee combat systems. And it just feels a bit more reliable than a dash. Plus, we have all of the advantages of being able to set this up as an attack, be invincible, or still be vulnerable, but at least it can't be interrupted. And yeah, like I mentioned before, we can use this for AI as well, so for our behaviors, and it just behaves differently than the dash system. It's just completely different. And the nice thing is that if you have a walk and run system, you could do this roll for running, and then the input just for stepping, basically. So you can have a little side step, which you have in so many games like Elden Ring and whatever. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff. I think the on ground is actually might be one of the more essential ones as well, because you know, a lot of these are just weird. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. So hope you enjoyed this bit of a different type of video, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.